back with this one. All right, I'm with my wonderful friend Jason right here, and what we're going to do, I'm going to show you guys is hip flexion, hip internal rotation, hip external rotation, and hip adduction manual muscle testing. So let's see, so you guys can see good. All right, so first things first, hip flexion is what I'm going to show you guys. So it'll be better if I get on this side so you can see. So first things first, you always want to test for grade 3 just to see if the patient can move through the available range against gravity. So I'm going to stabilize at the pelvis. Just have him bring his hip up just like that. Do it one more time. All right, so he can do that. He's at least a grade 3 now. So now this one I'm going to test for grade 4 or 5. That's against my resistance. So I want you to come up to about halfway through the range. I'm going to apply a downward force and see if he can maintain it. All right, so clearly he could do that. It's a big, strong guy right here. So I'll classify that as a grade 5 because I cannot break the motion. A grade 4 would be if I could partially break some of his range. Now, I'm going to have you lay on your right side, please. On the right side. And lift up some, just a little bit, because we're going to use this towel. So now for this one, we're testing for grade 2. And grade 2 is taking gravity out of that. So with his non-test leg, I'm going to grab it to stabilize it. Then I want him to, with a flex knee, slide his hip against the towel. Alright. Alright, so he can do that, so he can go against the range of motion without gravity, so that's a grade 2. Now, if he couldn't do that, I would have him go through the motion again and palpate for his hip flexors to see if I can get some contractile activity going on. If he has some contractile activity, I would call that approximately a grade 1. If I got no contractile activity whatsoever, I would call that a grade 0. So now I want you to come back up here. Sit down. Now I'm going to combine these two tests, just the hip internal rotation and hip external rotation. So you guys can see. Alright, so now what I want him to do, we're going to go with hip internal rotation first. So I'm going to stabilize out the pelvis and I'm going to guide him through the motion I want him to do. Just simply want him to do like that. Now, see if you can do that for me. Alright, so that is a grade 3. So now, what I'm going to do is see if he's a grade 4 or 5 at least. So I'm going to stabilize this inside the kneecap. And I'm going to apply a resistance near his foot. See if he can maintain this. And he can. So he is at least a grade 5 or 4. Now I'm going to switch over to hip external rotation. Kind of like the same thing here. That's just not going to move. So this is the motion I want you to do. Let me see you do it. Alright, so he can clearly do that. So he'd be a grade 3. And the same principles apply with this one. For this one, I'm going to stabilize just outside the knee. Have a force inside his leg. See if he can hold that. He can. So he is at least a grade 5 or a grade 4. So now for this one, I want you to lay supine, please. You can see it. So now for this one, taking gravity out of this one, I'm doing both internal and external rotation with this one. So I just want to see if the patient would be able to do a log roll. That would be them just doing like this with their hip. Let me see if he can do that. Clearly he can do it both ways, internally and externally. He'd be at least a grade 2. Now if he could not do that, I would palpate for his internal and external rotators to see if there's any contractile activity with that. If it wasn't, that'd be a grade 0. Now last one is hip adduction. So You have sideline on your right side, please, man. And you can hold on to the table too. So what I'm going to do, test leg should be the side that he's laying on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to support his non-test leg, and I want him to bring his test leg towards his non-test leg. Do it one more time. All right, so he can do that. He is a grade 3 at least. So now we're going to see if he's a grade 4 or 5. What I'm going to do is support the non-test leg and stabilize at the pelvis as well. So I'm supporting this, hold this one, come up just some a little bit. Now, do not let me break this, okay? So couldn't break that. Like I said, he lifts in the gym all the time. He is a pretty strong dude. So I'll call that a grade 5. Now can you lay supine for me, please? Now the last part, if he couldn't do the grade 3, we'll drop him down to a grade 2 to see if he can do that. And once again, this is gravity eliminated. And for this one, you can use a towel or like a sheet so he can have something to slide on. All right. Lift up this leg. Should bring this leg out some. So the test leg is going to be his right leg. So I just want to see if he can bring that leg to midline. Do it one more time. Alright, so he could do that. He's at least a grade 2. If he couldn't do that, I would palpate his adductors to see if I can get some contractile activity with that. If he couldn't do that, no contractile activity, he'd be a grade 0.